Hey, all right. Thank you guys for joining in for another great session of our Wellness Week. And as we come to a close, I hope that you guys have been participating and attending, and you see how everything is connected. All of our wellness programs have been connected, whether you're talking about the diabetes session we did in Dublin last week, or the important one. There's one on Narcan, a really important one that they're doing. So that's on safety and how to really assist they could be anybody in the community that has an issue or is battling that or fighting that good fight. But again, I'm Carl Woods, and today we're going to talk about mindfulness. So if you tuned in yesterday, you kind of got to practice the breathing techniques. And so we were talking about, yes, paying attention to your breathing and paying attention to your breath and things like that. So now we're really going to start and focus in on what that means and what that feels like to pay attention, to be mindful, to be present in the moment. So I'm going to start our presentation because I can talk you through it without the presentation, but I want you guys to be able to follow along. So when we talk about mindfulness, we're talking about being aware of what's happening outside of the self, and being mindful of every single day that you're in, and being kind of thankful to be here. Because technically, guys, we get to do this. Like, I'm serious. Whether it's coming to work every day, or you get to go work out, or you're interacting with the people you love the most, you get to do this. Like, that is an honor to be able to do this. And when you have that mindset and that appreciation that you believe every day is a gift, then it kind of hits different, you know? And so it's true. We really do get to do this. If you look at it from a worldview, and there's so much going on in the world today. And y'all, we got to get up. You know, some of us, most of us, I think our heat's working, our power's working. We got running water. Like, we get to do this. We get to make a difference in the lives of young people and each other every day. So it's all about becoming aware, you know, knowing what your body wants, desires, needs. And so we all understand what it means to be thirsty, right? You know what that feels like. Well, you know what it feels like to be hungry, but that's what mindfulness is, paying attention to your body's needs. And so we said, yes, mindfulness is paying attention to what's going on around you. And as I see Shane calling, that means you're not looking at this video, so you need to tap in, sir. Y'all tell Shane to get on to tap in with us. But and so yeah, it's about tapping in, knowing when you need to exercise, knowing when you need to eat, knowing when you need sleep, knowing when you need water, and all that good stuff. And then, you know what? Knowing when you need attention from your mate, knowing when you need the attention of your children, knowing when you need to focus in. Okay, being aware becomes free. When you're aware, you become free of things that create emotional stress, such as regrets, judgments, and anxieties. We all have been there. You know, December 1991, that was a play I wanted to make in football. I missed the play, and it caused us not to go to the state championship. But it's being aware of that, but it doesn't, and it used to really bother me, y'all. But now it's like, okay, it was a thing. What did I learn from that? How did that help me to be where I am today? And if I hadn't done that, where would I be? You know what I mean? So, and the guy, I don't know, it's almost December. But the guy that, he was a star quarterback. We were playing LaGrange, and I missed the tackle against him. And, you know, I kind of followed his life for the first few years, and sometimes immediate success isn't the best thing for you, especially when you're young. And so I think sometimes if things had went a different way, maybe, you know, I wouldn't be here with you guys today. But that's what it means to be mindful and think about those things. And when you go through life, it's always as if it's the first time. So today's the first day of the rest of my life. Today's the first day that I get to impact some young person who's just walking across campus or something like that. It's about making a difference, not allowing the stress and anxiety to get to you. Okay, so I got a couple of videos. We're gonna watch both of them today, but some really cool videos. And so I got trained on this, y'all. He told me everything to do, and it just slipped my mind. But I think it's alternate tab. The alt tab, got it. Alt tab, and then tab again, or just let it go? Let it go. Okay, it's working. Do I press play? Yes. Okay, here we go.
There is a story, usually attributed to the Native American tradition, which illuminates different ways of paying attention. An elder, talking to a child, says, "I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is fearful, vengeful, envious, resentful, and deceitful. The other wolf is compassionate, loving, generous, truthful, and peaceful." The child asks, "Which wolf will win the fight?" The elder responds, "The one I feed." That doesn't mean we try to deny or hurt or kill the angry wolf. If we did that, we'd end up in a long battle, all the while somehow making that wolf more powerful through our hostility and fear. Hating that wolf sucks the strength right out of us. Instead, we calmly pay attention to the angry wolf and let go of believing they have the answers. If we can do that, they end up lying down next to us, no longer an enemy. We help strengthen the kind and loving wolf, giving it nourishment and support so that we can follow it. That peaceful wolf can become our steady companion and show us the way through all kinds of different life experiences. Restful or chaotic, enjoyable or disappointing experiences may come and go, but we can have a guide with us through it all. This is what mindfulness can help you do. Mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and feelings as they are beginning. It's very powerful to know what we're feeling as we're feeling it, know what we're thinking as we're thinking it. With mindfulness, we can choose what will strengthen and bring into action, and we can choose what we will gently let go of. We don't have to be at the mercy of old habits or old ways of thinking or old ways of being. We are empowered. It just takes practice.
Alternate tab again. Yes. I like that. Okay. But yeah, it just takes practice, y'all. And so we have to want to be better. We have to want and understand, looking within ourselves and saying, okay, in other cultures, it's, and that was the one of our ancient Indian cultures where they said, hey, it's two wolves battling inside you. Some people say it's higher self and lower self. Some people say it's the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. But at any point, we have to understand that some people say it's my first mind. Something told me da 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 da. We have to be able to sit with that and understand who we are, and then not try to not be or suppress those feelings, but invite them, sit with them, and make the conscious choice of elevating yourself to be the best you can be. And it takes work, it takes practice. You're not always going to be perfect at it. I am not perfect at it, but practice, every day, practice, recognizing, realizing, and things like that. And so we have to put those types of things in practice. And so last time I didn't show this video, but I really think that after reviewing, I think we should watch this video too, and it just expounds on what we just went over on mindfulness, paying attention to you. And so while we had the definition where we talked about paying attention to everything outside of us, right? Then we see this video and it says understanding and paying attention to you. And so when you're paying attention to you and then you can see what's going on around you, that's the holistic wellness part that we've been talking about, okay? So let's watch this one, and I think I got it, alternate tab, and then hit tab again. No. Let it go. Oh, wow. Is it sounding? I don't know.
Bringing an open awareness to all moments.
Okay, can I start it over?
Whether those moments are pleasant, neutral, or maybe even unpleasant.
I don't think this is working.
Bringing to that
I don't think this is working, sir.
It's about being aware.
About to cry. Okay, I went back. Press play. Thank you. Y'all give him a hand. That guy right there. Bruh, I'm
Everyday
taking away from your
mindfulness.
workout and everything.
What is mindfulness? Often when people think about mindfulness, they imagine someone sitting on a cushion alone in a room with their eyes closed.
Right.
Sometimes that is what mindfulness practice looks like. And sitting with your eyes closed in this way has great benefits. But mindfulness is also so much more. Mindfulness is a way to approach everyday life that makes living more enjoyable and less stressful. You can apply mindfulness to everything you do, whether you are eating, walking, or sitting in class. Mindfulness is a choice that you can make at any moment. Mindfulness can help you better understand how you feel and what you are experiencing. It's about being aware of the present moment instead of replaying the past or worrying about the future. Mindful awareness means being aware with kindness. It's about being engaged in everyday life, choosing to be nice to yourself and others in the present moment, and bringing an open awareness to all moments, whether those moments are pleasant, neutral, or maybe even unpleasant. Bringing to that awareness some curiosity and kindness instead of judgment and criticism.
Preach.
You may be surprised at what you learn if you are curious and kind.
Message.
This does not mean that you need to be meditating. You just need to be paying attention on purpose with a little friendliness. This can help you with stress or anxiety or even sadness. It helps you focus on what is happening right now, because worrying about the future or the past all the time can be exhausting. Practicing paying attention in a kind way to little things can help train your mind so you can develop more ease across your life. Anything can be leveled up with mindfulness. Here are some examples of ways you can be mindful in everyday life. Right now, you might be sitting in a chair watching this video on your phone. How heavy does your phone feel in your hand? What parts of your hand is the phone touching? Is your phone hot, warm, or maybe cool? Are you sitting down? What parts of your body are being supported by the chair? If you are standing, can you feel which parts of your feet are connected to the ground? Or where you are placing the weight of your body on your feet? This is all mindfulness. Or maybe, when you're talking with someone, instead of listening to them so that you can give them a response or to answer them, listen with the goal of understanding them better.
Right.
This is a little change that can make a big difference in a conversation. The trick is not to automatically react to what you're paying attention to. Just notice what body sensations and emotions come up. And notice your reactions or judgments, because there will be judgment. Just try not to judge yourself for how judgmental you might be. There's no right or wrong. Just noticing what's happening in the moment. This can be noticing what's going on around you or inside of you. Let any and all things that you notice be there. You can practice this type of mindfulness anytime, anywhere, and under any circumstance. Simply be aware of what's happening in that moment. Like this moment. What are you noticing right now?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Let it go. Got it. Okay. So, mindful. We're coming back. It seems like an exotic idea. It seems like, wow, that's some out there thinking. But it's in reality, and we do it every day. But practicing it and really practicing it on purpose and trying to tap in. And that's what I call it, tapping in. But it's your natural human ability to do that, and it's usually cultivated through meditation, yoga, Tai Chi. Speaking of Tai Chi, I think I found a pretty good Tai Chi course. So in our Finding Balance presentation, there you go. Earlier in this week, that was put on by our great counseling team. Thank you, Ms. Perdita, and your team. We talked about finding balance, and so we talked about helping our older generation and our men come to grips with mindfulness and meditation and things like that. And so I was thinking about that for my mom, who's older. She's in an older adult living community, and we want to make sure that she has an opportunity to tap in. And so for our older generation, it's hard to say, hey, we're going to go to therapy and things like that. So we found a Tai Chi class near her, and that's where we're going to take Tai Chi together and focus on releasing energy. And so it's an opportunity for us to socialize, come together as a family and do the things, but it's also an opportunity for us as individuals to improve ourselves, to really work on those inner things that really, kind of eat away at us. And so we talked about, and this is a real one, we talked about generational trauma. And so it's about facing those generational traumas and erasing them as best you can. And so when you're older, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to do. You're stuck in your ways of doing things. This is how we always do it. We've heard that before, right? But just because this is how we always do it doesn't mean that's the way that we have to continue to do it. It's all about evolution. And so my therapist used to talk about that all the time. It's about evolving into your best self, evolving into the best person you want to be. And so in order to do that, you have to exist in uncomfortable spaces and do things that may seem uncomfortable at first. But once you get into the habit of it, then it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad I did that. And so for me, understanding who I am, and my culture, I think it's important for me to represent and say, hey, it's cool to go to therapy. Hey, it's cool to work on generational trauma. Hey, it's cool to apologize and have those crucial conversations, because that's, in my culture, we don't do that enough. And so we see the results of men like me who don't, and we see how that affects us. So I really try to stand on that soapbox and preach, hey, we got to do this. Hey, it's cool to go to therapy. It's cool to do meditation. It's cool to do yoga. It's cool to tap in to your inner self so that you can be the best you that you can be. And all of us say we want to be strong men, but do you put it into practice? So, mindfulness, like we all know this by now, if we've been tapping into our wellness courses, it has its roots in Buddhism or Eastern philosophy, but it's also supported by modern scientific research that shows its benefits for mental and physical health. And so now we've seen it. We've seen Far East traditions where we, at one time, probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we thought that was weird. But now the correlation has been established between Western science and medicine and what the benefits are for mindfulness, tapping in, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, and stuff like that. So now we're seeing that where it's becoming more mainstream throughout America or the U.S. And that's what we need, guys, because that's what's going to help us to be better individuals, and then that helps us to be a better community. So mindfulness, it helps us cope with stress, anxiety, depression, pain, and other challenges by teaching us how to relate to them differently and compassionately. And in the video, they said, hey, there's no right or wrong. There just is. Everything just is. Everything exists. So, and when you think of it like that, when you look at things from that perspective, then, okay, so the Walk with the President was a hit. So thank y'all for participating in that. But yeah, so yeah, when you tap in, that's what helps to tap into compassion and love. We don't want to say the word love enough, but it starts with loving yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you can't love those around you. You can't show love. So love, be it, love it, learn to say it. A lot of us, especially as men, we have regrets where we didn't say "I love you" enough, and that's super important. So my grandpa, not a weird, funny story, but my grandfather. So when you talk about generational trauma and things of that nature, my grandpa was a hard man. He never said "I love you" to his kids. You know, he forced them to do the educational thing because he knew what was best based on what he had been through, and he was right in that. And he was really staunchly an advocate for education for all of us, but he wasn't really a touchy-feely guy. And so when my grandfather got to be of age where he was looking back at where most of his life was behind him, I was fortunate enough to be around him during that transition, and he actually told me he loved me, and we would have those crucial conversations. And so after he passed, that was something his children said, "Hey, he never told me he loved me. I know he loved me, but he never said that to me. How does that feel for him to say it to you?" And I was like, I never thought about it like that, but that was a gift for me. It wasn't anything money he left me. It was, he looked me in the eye, and I'll never forget it. The day I graduated college, I was quite the rebel. And I graduated Clark Atlanta, and I was a bit upset because my grandpa couldn't be there. And like when I was doing all the studying, he was right there. He would be falling asleep. I remember he would fall asleep while I was practicing my Spanish, and he tried though. And so when I graduated, I walked off the stage and I went straight to the nursing home to see him, and he just nodded his head, and he let me know he loved him. He loved me, and he said he promised my grandmother that he was going to keep me on the straight and narrow. And so he said, "I think I've done my job." And a couple of months later, he passed. And I was at my orientation for my first career, not job, career. And when I got the call that he had passed, I felt it like he had said, "I did my job. I'm releasing you into the world." So tapping into that and understanding for me how important that was, and being mindful of the gift that he'd given me, that was important for me. So when you're talking to your kids, your loved ones, and things like that, let them know. Those are love languages, but let them know how you feel. You write them a note, look them in the eye, and tell them, especially your kids, tell them you love them, because these days, you never know. All right, so mindfulness is a lifelong journey of learning and discovery that can help you transform not only your life, but the world around you. And so what I want to do is take the opportunity real quick to tap in and understand mindfulness. And so we understood, hey, there's several ways to be mindful. You can be mindful while exercising. You can be mindful while you're driving, especially doing your breathing techniques, not yelling at people or honking people out. But then there's also, sitting where you are. So if you're out there, and I want to say TV land, is that something people say? Out there in the ether, we'll say it like that. And while you're here, let's get comfortable for a second, right? We're going to sit and understand, be mindful of where you are, right? So be mindful of your glutes sitting in the chair. Be mindful of your feet on the floor. Be mindful of your fingers tapping the keys on your phone. Be mindful of the words that you hear resonating from my voice. But it's all about tapping in. And if you feel like closing your eyes, close your eyes. And practice your breathing. So we talked about this yesterday. We've been talking about it all week. Be mindful of your breath, right? And so what helps me with my mindfulness is sometimes exercise, intense exercise, or tapping in with a sounding bowl. So if you were there yesterday, or you've heard about my experience with the sound bath, and so I'm going to try to simulate that again. So we're working on our breathing. So you want to inhale for at least 4 seconds, hold it for at least 4 seconds, exhale for 4 to 8 seconds. And I see somebody yawning, I'm putting y'all to sleep. So we'll get right to it. All right, comfortable position, deep breath in, ready, begin. Focus on the vibrations. Let it resonate throughout your body. Notice how that feels, where you feel it. While you're breathing, where are your body, what body parts are relaxing? What are you thinking right now? Let it sit with you. Process that thought, and pay attention to your breathing. Pay attention to the sound vibrations. Pay attention to the light coming into your window. Pay attention to yourself yawning because you think I'm so boring. But pay attention. Be mindful. As we slowly come back to ourselves, let's talk about it for a second. What does being mindful, how does that feel to you? Anybody, whether you're out there in the ether, TV land, or here, what does that feel like? What does it feel like to be mindful? You can put it in the chat too, if you don't want to say out loud. Girl, so I'm repeating the response. Sometimes taking a moment to breathe, taking in the moment. And that's super important. When you say taking a moment to breathe, take it in. And so we talked about diaphragmatic breathing yesterday and last week. And so when you say taking a moment to breathe, are you breathing? Put your hand on your stomach for a second. When you say I'm breathing, do you feel that breath come into your tummy, or do you feel it coming into your chest? Right? Because if you're breathing for real, you're going to feel in your tummy. You're going to push your tummy out when you breathe. You're going to feel your stomach expanding. See, there's a difference between breathing and short, shallow breaths. You can exist and live on the short chest breathing. Your lungs have 4 chambers. You can exist on just 2 of them. But you really breathe when you take in all 4, when you let all 4 chambers of your lungs expand. So let's try that again. We're breathing into our diaphragm this time, and you can put your hand on your tummy if you want, and let your tummy expand. I know we're weird about that, but do it anyway. Okay, ready? Here we go. Breathe. Inhale all the way down into your diaphragm. Hold it for at least 4 seconds. And then slowly exhale. Now your exhale, believe it or not, should be longer than your inhale. That's because you have unused air already down in those 3rd and 4th chambers of your lungs. So let that out. And you're letting out toxicity. You're letting out anger. You're letting out dissension. And as you breathe in love. Breathe in integrity. Breathe in compassion. Can I say righteousness, Pam? Breathe that in and let it sit with you. And then slowly exhale. And then as you exhale, how does that feel? Let's talk about it. You just breathe in love, compassion, righteousness, integrity because you thought it. And then you let out all the toxicity. So what do we feel like now? You can put it in the chat. You can say it out loud. Anyone. I love it. I love it. And that's the key. Focus. Fresher. Your mind feels refreshed. And so yesterday, I love that so that shows that we're paying attention to all the workshops we've had leading up to this moment, because we heard focus, we heard refresh, we heard clear-minded. And so when you say clear-minded, there's a type of breathing for that, to clear your mind. If you tapped in yesterday, you already noticed. But there's a certain type of breathing you can do. And so that's called nostril breathing, right? So you inhale through one nose, one nostril, hold it, and then exhale through the other. That's how you clear your brain. And so when we go into these meetings, even when you come to work, especially with what we do as educators being so important, we don't get paid enough. I already know that. We don't get enough benefits. I already know that. But the payoff, because we're shaping tomorrow. Y'all, these young folks depend on us, man. And we have to do our part to make sure we might not be front facing, but by you and financial aid checking somebody's box and making sure their financial aid is available, you're impacting lives. By what you guys do in HR and making sure that our paperwork is squared away, making sure we have the trainings that we need to exist and be better for these young folks, because there's rules associated with this thing. It helps us to be better for our young people. And so that's what it's all about. Being better and making tomorrow better. And so we want to discuss it. So any thoughts, questions, concerns? And so this is where we're going to turn the mic on. Hopefully y'all are still interacting. I ain't put you to sleep out there in the ether and TV land. But whatever questions, thoughts, comments, concerns you have, let's talk about it real quick.
Like if you're stressful, and you take deep breaths, you can almost feel some of the stress just leaving
your body.
And
exactly.
It might not take it away, but it just helps in that moment to relieve some of it.
That's right. And so that you're sitting with it.
Stuff that you regret.
I cut her off, but she said, so that when you take a mindful moment to breathe, the stress doesn't go away, but it does keep you from saying something that you'll regret. Because you can't take words back. And they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true. Because your words sit with people. And we know that. And we know now that your words have an effect on people's emotional and mental health. Especially the words that we use with our young people, right? Sometimes we take that for granted. And we say things that, my grandma used to say, oh, I need to plump you up, or oh, you gained too much weight. And I'm like, Granny, Mom, stop. But that,
nowadays you can't say that. It really,
that's it.
They're basically saying, you're thinking I'm bad. You're thinking I'm too bad.
That's it.
Where we grew up in a world where we knew not to take it literally. They take everything.
Literally. And so the key thing you said, we grew up in a world where we knew not to take it literally. Did we? No, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down, but because we didn't understand emotional and mental health back then. That's right. But now we understand better, and we understand that words do hurt. Words do impact. So you can use words of affirmation with your loved ones. You can use words of inspiration, encouragement, or you can say, man, you stupid. That's it. The young lady said words cut deep. And so understanding that, we have to be mindful of the words we use to inspire, motivate, or correct, right? And so even let's bring it back to the workplace. When we have those conscious or mindful conversations with our employees, supervisees, it's what you say that really impacts them. So are you mindful? Are you thoughtful? Are you coming from a place of love? Key point. Are you coming from a place of love, or are you coming from a place of, I don't like this person. I don't like to say hate, but I don't really like this person, so I'm going to talk to them. But if we can come with love, we're always better. Yes, ma'am. I got a question. Sorry.
So when you were saying, like, if I come from a place where negative stuff is, this just, to me, in my opinion, is like, that's just the environment they choose. Like, if you keep wanting to stay in the negatives, and that's on you then, because you're just keep bringing stress and more anger on yourself if you want to stay in the environment that is negative. Now, if you want to change that, you can change and go to a better environment, positivity. It's
There you go.
better to release all the stress and anger that you got built up inside. And you don't have to, but like I said, we choose to stay in the messy and the negatives if we just choose that.
That is a valid point. And the key word that you said that I took from that was your environment. A lot of times we don't know any better. We think our environment is the world. And unless you get outside of that current environment, you don't see, or a lot of us don't get that worldview, that greater and deeper perspective. So it's important to say, hey, you know what? This is my environment, but it has to be something better out there. And as educators, that's our job, to show our young people and each other that there are other ways of doing things, there are other ways of being, there are other ways of existing, and we don't have to continue to do the same old thing. They say to continue to do the same thing every day, expecting a different result is insanity. Thank you. So you got to do different, guys. You got to do different. It's up to us to do different. And in today's times, it's more imperative and important than ever before that we choose to walk in love. We choose to do different. We choose to respect everybody's culture. We choose to respect everybody's opinion, but still stand firm in your own. It's okay to feel how you feel, but it's more important to respect other people's feelings as well. So that's our discussion for today on mindfulness. Thank you so much for coming through. I hope to see you. We're going to close out this week with, oh my goodness, we're almost done. That's it. Wellness Week 2024 fall. That's it. We'll see y'all next spring. Thank you.